decided to change things up. Got a haircut too.
Uh-oh.
I got told today that it was a real dad haircut, which
Why is that?
didn't feel great about. And we're back. The RTF Show here again. It's been quite the hiatus, but we join you from Chicago and Portland. Brother John, it's nice to see you again. It's been months.
Oh my God, I know. It has been months, and I've every week I do feel bad that we haven't put one of these out yet, but you know, life gets in the way sometimes, and
Yeah. Well, we might be more inclined to if we both had better fantasy football teams.
Yeah, I mean,
we're winning games.
Yeah, I feel like in years past we've had some guest hosts, but those guest hosts also, well, at least one of them's not doing well, and the other's on the bubble. But we'll get to that situation right now. But
there is a lot going on. So the league has changed drastically from when we last joined folks here. Let's just do a quick kind of recap of where we're at, what the standings look like, and then let's really dive into the playoff picture. So I'll pull up the standings here. We can take a look. It's definitely things aren't exactly what I thought they would be. Well, that's not true. Things are exactly what I thought they would be. I don't think they were what you thought they would be. But let's take a look. In the sweetness division, we have Jake on top, 11-2, crushing it, leading the league in points. He's been dominant all year. Steve coming in second place, also I believe second in points, and 9-4. Again, made some bold moves and has been crushing it all year. Kelly right behind him at 6-7. Well, not right behind him, behind him at 6-7, fighting for a playoff spot. She's had a pretty good season. Myself down in last, 4-9, not doing well. The Papa Bear division, 10 on top, 12-1.
Yeah, pretty incredible. Yeah.
Can you believe that?
It's hard to believe. He's won some tight games. He's not the highest scorer, but he's won some close games.
Yep.
He's gritted it out on the back of his running back core. It's been an impressive and dare I say, quiet season from Ken. Not only in matchups, but also in the shit talking department, but also more importantly in the complaint department. So I think winning cures all, as they say. Yep. I think Ken is certainly part of that. And honestly, now that I'm out officially, secretly, I'm Mike. Maybe you can fill us in here. Mm-hmm. Going into the holiday season, we will be spending Christmas with Ken. Now, what is this going to be like if he continues winning? Right, he's been bounced from the first week of the playoffs the last 2 years, I believe, in Rose Tackle football. Going back to the second year of the league, he missed the playoffs. First year, he made the championship, but lost to Peter. What am I in for during the Christmas season? Do I want Ken winning, or do I want him kind of bounced already at that point? Like, what's better for my sanity?
I think you want Ken winning. Ken winning. He's in a good mood. He's going to be on edge either way. I think actually the thing that's going to help the most is that the Bills have locked up the division at this point and are looking primed for the playoffs and really have a pretty easy schedule down the road after this week, or not this week, after next week when they play, I believe they play the Lions next week. So after next week, Bills are kind of, I think they get the Patriots twice. So I got a feeling Ken's going to be in a pretty good mood. Let's keep rolling through this division. Doug, first year in the league, fighting to make a playoff spot. We're going to get into that in a second. He's 6-7. John, 4-9, tied with Peter, also 4-9. How the mighty have fallen in this league. Our two-time champion, our mainstay, and our two-time champion in yourself, and then our mainstay in the semifinals and the finals for several years now, Peter Kramer. Both of you out of it.
Both out of it, officially out. Yep.
The tides have changed in the league.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Well, some don't see it that way. Rolling down to the peanut division. Alec, 10-3, having a great year. Been pretty steady all year. On the back of Josh Allen. Really on the back of Josh Allen. I think he's had there's one other player I'm thinking of.
Justin Jefferson's been all right. Jefferson, he went out and got Kittle from me.
Yes.
Didn't he have CMC? Did he have CMC? No. Who else did he go out and get? I can't remember.
Well, we'll come back to Alex's team in a minute. Fitz fighting to make the playoffs. He's at 6-7. Up and down year for Fitz. Josh at 3-10 and Bill at 3-10. The peanut division is by far the weakest division. I think this year it's the lowest scoring division by quite a bit. With really just Alec kind of holding up the scoring there. And record-wise, just has not performed well. So that's where we sit today. In terms of the standings, we also have a number of kind of side games that have happened. Let's cover those quickly. John, you want to update us on what's been happening with the RTF?
Oh, yeah. We got to go all the way back to halftime, week 8 of the season. Jake had the most points scored. He received the halftime bonus, $50. Just goes to the person that is putting up points in our league, right? I believe he was number 1 in the league at the time anyway, but certainly edged out Ken for most points at that time. Week 10, we had a league pick'em. Honestly, pretty abysmal by almost everyone. Most people only got 1 or 2 picks right. A couple of people with 3, and then Peter had 4. Correct. I would like to note.
Go ahead.
I'd like to note that everyone chose me in Mike and mine's matchup, and every single person, including Mike, chose me, and I continue to disappoint. And Mike whooped my ass. So I'm glad I could bring a wrong answer to everyone's quiz sheet there. So that was great. Another wonderful matchup. Anyway, weekly high in week 13 went to Alec on the backs of Jerry Judy, putting up probably the greatest revenge game out there.
Except he lost.
Yes, except he lost. But he was pissed going into this game. He was talking a lot of shit, and he backed it up. It was great. And I saw a stat that, like, in Jerry Jeudy, this game, 260 yards or whatever, was something like almost 10% of his total yardage that he had in his 4 years with Denver. Like, in one game, he had almost 10% the amount of yards that he had for 4 years in Denver, which is just a mind-blowing stat to me.
So the two things that because that game was an incredible Monday night game, and two things that come to mind for that. One, didn't Jerry Jeudy request the trade out of Denver? I don't think he was wronged by Denver. I think he played like shit there, wasn't getting kind of the playing time he wanted, and then he requested. It's not like they cut ties with him or decided to send him out. I'm pretty sure Jerry Jeudy made that choice. And then two, so I just don't know how much of a revenge game you get to classify that as. I mean, he's obviously classified it as one. And then two, the interesting stat that I saw was that in that game, Surtain, on the routes that Surtain was on him, he basically, I think he had like 20 yards.
It was like 2 catches for like 20.
And then ate up the rest of their coverage for 250 or some absurd amount. Just crazy. What a performance by Jeudy.
I mean, Jameis Winston, I think I also saw a stat in that if you add his like 6, there's 2 interceptions for touchdowns plus the yardage on the interceptions, it's the most yards a quarterback like has ever thrown for.
Yeah, well,
if you add it all together, it's crazy.
Jameis is the man. All right. One more, right? No, that was the weekly high.
We'll have next week or this week is too close call. So the narrowest victory will get points or get money, and then we were supposed to have an NFL pick'em week 12, but I was thinking we move that to week 17 for championship week, so that everyone that's in the league that's not in a game that matters has something to tune into. Because knowing without myself in the championship, it's going to be kind of a boring matchup. So give everyone else something to play for.
Sure is.
And then Survivor. Jacob won Survivor. So Jacob takes home the $100. Looking at the money right now, Jacob is at $175 already on the season, and Alec is at $100. So pretty great for them. With Ken and Peter each getting $25. Otherwise, the rest of us, big fat zeros.
Yes, indeed. It's pretty. Not many people getting paid out this year. All right. So that's where we're at. That's what's been happening in the league. Now let's take some time to jump forward. So we got a lot of big matchups this week that we'll walk through, but I think it's going to be most helpful if maybe we kind of take a look at the standings and how the playoff picture is going to shake out. Ken, as we said, 12-1 sits atop the league. Jake right behind him at 11-2. Alec 10-3. The Barracudas at 9-4. There are some possibilities that gets shaken up. They're not great possibilities, but there are some possibilities that gets shaken up. So if Ken wins, he's essentially guaranteed the number 1 seed. Jake,
which is a bye, right? 1 and 2 get a bye. which is a
Yes.
big deal. Big deal.
Yes.
Because Ken keeps getting bounced in the first round. So
Yeah.
let's get him a
Avoid
bye.
the first round.
He's pretty much guaranteed a bye at this point, right? So
I think he is guaranteed a bye.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way Ken misses out on a bye. Yes, he's guaranteed a bye.
Well, that's great.
Jake is essentially also guaranteed a bye, just based on the fact that he has 200 more points than Alec, and Alec is the only one that can catch him record-wise.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Unless Alec, does something spectacular.
I mean, he did just score 159 points, but I don't think he's going to get there. So
no, the seeding between those two could change if Ken loses and Jake wins. It is possible Jake takes over the number one slot.
I mean, almost guaranteed, right? It's Jake's
Yes.
130 points ahead of Ken, right? So yeah,
that would flip.
Yeah.
Within the 3-4 matchup, that's where things get a little bit interesting. Alec winning would kind of guarantee him the 3 seed. However, if Alec loses and Steve wins, Steve probably definitely flips into that 3 seed over
sure.
Alec.
He's 90 points ahead. Yeah.
But otherwise, those top 4 are locked. Nothing is going to change within the top 4 seeds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where we get into the interesting scenarios is with the 5, 6, 7. We've got 3 teams vying for 2 playoff spots. We've got the Narwhals, the Bombolero, the franchise of the Bomboleros, now in their 5th season.
You love the Night Country. I still love his Night Country. Like, we haven't had him on yet. I want to know, what's the mood right now? I don't know if you watched Night Country, but it's like, it's always dark.
I have not watched it. I have not watched it.
Like pretty good. It wasn't great. It wasn't like first season great, but
mm-hmm.
It was kind of interesting. And just like it's a mood.
Yeah.
And I feel like Fitz is sort of like, dark. He's like
living in that mood. Yeah.
Yeah, he's living in that mood that all season, right on the edge. Pulling for him.
And then we've got Doug. First year in the league, as we said, 6 and 7, fighting for that last playoff spot. So why don't we start with their matchups and kind of work our way through those? And
I like this. I like the Doug. Let's start with Doug and Peter. I like it. So Doug, first year in the league, right? Jake last year, first year in the league for him. Jake just missed the playoffs and ended up winning the toilet bowl. So I wanted to win the toilet bowl. So could see some parallels here. Doug putting up a good fight. If he does end up missing, could end up winning the toilet bowl. And then, look where Jake is now with the full season really under his belt. Pretty interesting. Just thought I'd acknowledge that Jake ended on a very high note last year after missing the playoffs and is now in the position he's in. So, but looking at this matchup, looks like Doug's got some work to do at the quarterback position.
So, I'm going to pull. God, I hate that. I forget every time how you have to do this. So let's pull up Doug's team here. Right now, Doug, I imagine, he's going to start Tua. Tua, who I think over the last 3 weeks has been the highest scoring quarterback in the league, fantasy wise. If I'm not, I'm pretty sure he's been the highest scoring over the last 3 weeks. I'm pretty sure he's number 1. So I'm sure he'll start Tua. Tua has a pretty okay matchup against the Jets defense that
he's at home at least.
Yeah, so I like him slotting Tua in there. Should be fine. Running back situation, Akers is in there, and with Robinson on a bye, I don't really know where else he has to turn. That's going to be, I think, that's where things are going to get really dicey for Doug. So I don't know. I expect Doug to win this matchup. I think he can still pull it out, but it's gonna be tough. It sucks that they just suspended Deontay Johnson because of his refusal to play.
It's a mess over there, but
that could have been helpful over Quentin Johnson.
And also he hasn't done anything, and I mean he's on bye anyway, but since getting traded, he hasn't done anything.
Oh yeah, he's on a bye. I forgot. Yeah, so you couldn't play him anyway.
But like going from like a fairly productive wide receiver to essentially disappearing once getting traded. I mean, like just bad luck. I feel like Doug's had some stretches on there. Johnson could have gone to a number of other teams and probably produced extremely well. You look at other people that got traded. This Hopkins getting traded. I mean, Devontae Adams is in form now. We've had these big name wide receivers that have gotten traded and now are producing at the time you need them to produce, right? And instead you've got Deontay Johnson just sitting on his ass. It's gonna be close, I feel like.
Who do you like in this matchup?
Well, you've got, on the other side, you've got a tough situation too at the running back position, right? With Etienne and Madison. I mean, Madison might not even play. He might not play. Which if he doesn't, then Abdullah also, but like Abdullah's kind of been trash. I mean, not terrible, but not great at that level. So like running back situation, probably both bad. So Doug might get a win here based on that. But
I think Doug pulls it out. I think he does get a win. I think Tua is going to perform, pretty well. I think having Bijan, that Minnesota defense has shown some cracks of late. I think mostly in the secondary, but if Bijan, he's been playing great. So if Bijan can put up good numbers, I think Doug wins this game. The other spot that I think it might kind of come down to is the tight end spot here. If Laporta has Laporta has done nothing all season. If he has another game where he catches 2 touchdowns, Doug might be in trouble, but I don't think that's going to happen. McBride, who hasn't caught a fucking touchdown all season, on the other hand, has
That's
been
crazy.
Well, I mean, it would require Kyler Murray to, do something in the red zone. But anyway, the McBride, who has been really steady all year. I mean, he's been, I think, the number 3. He's the number 3 tight end right now. So I think that position is also going to be a win for Doug. The wide receivers on either side, I feel like it could be a toss-up. I feel like it could be a toss-up. I worry most about Quentin Johnson for Doug, but either way.
We'll have a pretty good idea. After tomorrow night, right? Half of Peter's team
is going to play.
Is playing in this Detroit Packers game.
Yep.
And so that'll be interesting to watch. I mean, Doug will have.
Yeah, he's got 4
guys. Have to sit with that if it's a high scoring affair, which I think it could be. I mean, both those defenses have been pretty leaky as of late.
I mean, Detroit's defense is very banged up. So it It could definitely be a
Yeah.
high-scoring matchup,
And
which
so,
it's going to be interesting. I do think Doug pulls out a win here. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at, before we get to Kelly's. Let's do Fitz's.
yeah.
Fitz should win. Bill's got to set his lineup, so it is tough to look at right now, but I'm trying to see if Bill even has Bill's going to have to pick up a quarterback because he's got Knicks on a bye.
He's going to pick up a quarterback and a tight end.
Yeah, I'm very much ready to slot this in as a win for Fitz.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, just looking at the available people here, right? Like, that he has. I mean, Nick Chubb, for whatever reason, like, ended up with 11 points against Denver, but for whatever reason, was like not used that much, right? Like, he sat out almost the entire second quarter and just didn't get that much run in the second half, despite being apparently healthy. He had the touchdown, but the receiving touchdown, but yeah, I see that this being a pretty easy walk for Fitz here. But
yeah, I mean, I think he's got this in the bag. So
that said, though, Bill's pulled out some pretty crazy wins this year. His 3 wins have been somewhat surprising, right? He got one last week, which he scored over 100 points. And he's put up a decent amount of points too, right? So in the last few weeks. But I think that's mostly based on Bo Nix, putting up good numbers recently. So.
And Ladd, who if Ladd doesn't play this week, which we've yet to be seen, if he'll play or not. I mean, I just don't see Bill winning this.
No. So I think Fitz is more likely to have a win. Keenan kind of had an ankle injury in the second half, right, of the Detroit game, but he came back and played. So, veteran rest day on Wednesday. I think he'll be okay and he'll play. But even then, I don't see Bill really having the firepower here, right? Like, who's he going to put in at running back? Kareem Hunt? He's not getting the kind of run that he was, right? So,
I mean, Bill's in trouble. Fitz is going to win this game. We shouldn't spend any more time on it.
I have more faith in Fitz winning than I do Doug winning at the moment, right? So to sort of frame our conversation about these last 3 spots, high confidence in Fitz right now. I think Peter could put up a much better fight against Doug, right? So
agreed. Let's take a look at Kelly's matchup. And here's where things get interesting.
This is a great matchup.
Kelly playing Steve, who number 2 in points on the season, just has been, steamrolling his way for the most part through the league. He's had some unfortunate losses, but his team has really been pretty great. He is dealing with Joe Mixon being out this week, so he's got to start Tony Pollard, which is certainly going to be iffy. However, poor Kelly, whose team was built on the back of the king, Derrick Henry, whose season has been, really, I think, kind of guided by Derrick Henry.
Nothing short of incredible.
When she needs him the most, Derrick Henry is nowhere to be seen. On his bye week.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at his past few weeks, though, he's kind of had somewhat down weeks, right? Like, the
I mean,
one,
yes, but
right? Like,
overall, he kind of got her to this.
yeah, for
I guess
sure.
what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
it would be nice to have Derrick Henry this
Oh,
week.
for sure, it would be nice to have Derrick
So,
Henry, right? Yeah, of course, of course. But she's had some losses recently that
mhm,
I think have put her in this position that I
mhm.
think if we were talking 3 weeks ago, we would not have expected Kelly to be in this position, right?
No.
Um, and Derrick Henry's had some down weeks, but I think looking at her team, like I think there's still quite a bit of firepower, right?
Mhm,
I like that she's going with Baker instead
mhm.
of Pat Mahomes. Baker also bad week against Carolina, but not
Yeah, but he's
concerned about
been
it. The dude's a dog.
rock solid.
Yeah. I think he'll bounce back just fine. You know, and then going down, Aaron Jones had a down week this past week, but I still think he's going to be able to bounce back too. Atlanta defense I think is more susceptible to the run than the pass. So, um,
Mhm.
and then you know, Kyron Williams, Cooper Kupp, CeeDee Lamb should be fine to play, and Kelsey's been all right. Right, he's kind of gotten back on track the last month and a half or so,
Mhm.
minus one game against Buffalo, but
CeeDee Lamb is
she's a
it,
chance.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, he's dealing with some sort of AC joint, I think, that like is going to last the rest of the season. It's just
Yeah.
depends on when they shut him down, but aren't they still technically in the wild card hunt?
I mean, maybe I can't.
Like outside
They're
chance.
not. They're not making the. They're not
Yeah.
going to make the playoffs.
Well, let's look at Steve's team. Uh, it's hard to argue. I mean, with the firepower he has, right? Especially what I love is that he's starting Johnny Smith, who has just
Mhm.
become this, incredible addition to the Miami attacking offense, right? 3 incredible games so in the past 3 weeks. So that could
I mean,
be a difference maker.
however, I think so. I am concerned for Kelly in terms of this matchup. It's unfortunate that she's got to play Steve this week. Um, however, if you're gonna play Steve, this is not a bad week to get him. You
Totally.
get him. You get him on a week that Mixon is out on the bye, and so
Mm-hmm.
is Nico. So I think that those two guys have been huge for him. So if grabbing him this week when he's got to start Pollard and Debo, uh, that's kind of a best case scenario for Kelly right there. I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think you're also looking at the other matchups, right? Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown playing Carolina. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Carolina, their defense still is not that good, right?
Yeah,
This feels like a Saquon game, right? So we might not see much production out of AJ Brown or Jalen Hurts. So
that's true. That's possible.
Tony Pollard might get a lot of run given how bad Jacksonville is. And then Debo's been not good. So uh, I think she definitely has a shot, right, to sneak one past Steve
Mm-hmm.
here, which would be huge. Which would be huge, right? Because if you're looking
Well,
at 2 playoff spots for 3 people.
so let's
Some can afford a loss, but let's take a look.
let's look at the scenarios real quick. So we talked about can win. We talked about the top 4.
Yep.
Those next three, essentially, here's what can happen. Kelly, if she wins, she's in. She has enough points by a mile to ensure that if she wins, she's in. Fitz, if he hold on, let's finish Kelly. If Kelly loses, she's gonna make it, but she needs Doug or Fitz to lose. She needs one of them to lose in order for her to get in.
If we get 2 wins and 1 loss of these 3 teams, the 2 winners are in, right?
Yes, exactly.
So we have 3 wins, though. If we have 3 wins,
it's going to get interesting.
Doug will likely be the odd man out, save for one scenario.
Yes, if we get 3 wins, Doug is going to be Doug has to outscore Fitz by 12 points if all 3 teams win. So you're right. The easiest way to break it down is if only 2 of the 3 win, those 2 are in. If all 3 win, it's going to come down to points for Doug and Fitz.
Yeah.
If all 3 lose, which isn't likely, it's going to be it's going to come down to points. Kelly's going to get in, and then Fitz is going to get in.
Yeah, which right now, to sort of set that parameter, Fitz has 12 more points on the season than Doug. So if they both win or they both lose, if all 3 win, Doug is going to have to outscore Fitz by 12 points. If they all lose, same thing. If Kelly wins and both Doug and Fitz lose, it comes down to point differential of 12 points for Doug to take over. So pretty tight. Like it
is tight.
Your destiny is in your hands for the most part.
It certainly is. You want to make some predictions here as to what you think is going to happen? I kind of gamed out a bracket, and I can pop mine up, and you can tell me if you agree with it, or you can give me your kind of prediction first, and we'll see if they match.
Yeah, I think, easy one. I think Fitz is going to win.
Mm-hmm.
I think Steve's going to win. Sorry, Kelly. And honestly, I think Peter's going to win. I think Doug also gets on it, which then leaves Kelly in, Doug out.
Yes.
I'm back in my doubling down on my power ranking of Peter. Peter up there.
All right. So John, you're saying you think Kelly makes it even with a loss and Fitz is in.
Yes.
I think Kelly's the odd woman out here. I like Steve this week as much as I just talked about the opportunity for Kelly to beat her. To beat him. I do think Steve's going to win, and that's going to leave Kelly in a precarious spot. I think Doug's team has what it takes to beat Peter, and I got to go with my gut here. I think Peter loses, Doug wins, and Doug makes the playoffs in his first year of the league, and ends up the 6 seed, Fitz the 4 seed. I don't know. Okay. We'll see.
I like it. This year this year we're gonna have some 7-7 or 2 7-7 teams potentially make the playoffs, which is unusual. Last year 8-6 teams made the playoffs, or a couple of 8-6 teams made the playoffs. So, a lot more parity here, which is great. I like this. very realistic, I think, either way, right? Your bracket or what I described. I like that we've got it's not all figured out. I think there's some good jacking in that 3 or 4 seed. I'd be interested to hear who Alec and who Steve would like to play, right? Like we very well could have a rematch of Kelly and Steve, right? In the first week of the playoffs. They could be playing again.
Very much so.
Yeah. Alec getting getting Josh this week, so that's not going to be a rematch. But he could end up playing Fitz.
I think but I do think so that top half of the bracket, and I'll share this again. That top half of the bracket, when we're looking at the matchups for who those folks are playing this week, Jake gets me. Jake's gonna win. I'm gonna try my damnedest though, Jake. Steve gets Kelly. Alec gets Josh, which I gotta imagine Josh is gonna win, and Ken gets you, and so I gotta imagine Ken's gonna win. So I just don't see a lot of shakeup here because I think Ken wins, Jake wins, I think Alec wins, and then even if Steve loses, he's kind of locked into that number 4 seed. So I think the 1 through 4 is really set kind of in stone right now. I don't see much kind of moving there. It's really just going to be who is Alec playing at the 6 seed and who is Steve playing at the 5 seed. That I think is going to change, but we'll see. It should be a fun week. The game tomorrow night is a great one. So both teams have a lot of fantasy relevant guys. So it should be an interesting game tomorrow night, and then we'll see what happens this week. I don't know. I'm excited.
Yeah, and then it's playoffs, which will be exciting. There'll be
sort of.
Three
of us are in it. So
I mean,
who gives a shit? But one thing I do give a shit about that I just want to call out before we wrap things up here. Way back in the first show that we did for this season, we made some predictions. We each predicted a division winner, which I think all of the divisions are now pretty secure. I don't think any of the division winners are going to change. So I just wanted to go back and take a look, kind of see what we predicted, what came true, what didn't.
I felt there was
it's just a little prediction action. Sweetness prediction. Let's see. John predicted Steve. I predicted Jake.
Pretty close.
I think I got that one.
Jury's still out.
Papa division. John predicted Peter. I predicted Ken.
Oh, see, I went bottom. Yeah. I thought that you were, we were predicting a loser.
And then Peanut division. John predicted Porter, and I predicted Alec. So it appears, if I'm correct, I predicted all of the division winners correctly back in week 1. John, you predicted that 2 teams that are not going to make the playoffs and have a combined 7 wins would win their divisions. And you picked Steve, which was an admirable pick, but wrong nonetheless.
Yeah, that's fine.
Any regrets?
No, because when you're talking about those 2 people with combined 7 wins, You're talking about two people in a club that y'all ain't in, okay? You're talking about a club that you're not in and you're not going to get in this year.
Oh, the past champions club.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. That's all I have, and that's all I'm going to say.
How many past champions made the playoffs this year?
Oh, boy. So, that's when you sell your soul. Sell the future.
Maybe we'll leave it at that. Nobody cares about the past, John. Just leave it back there.
Now.
All right. I think that's it. It was good to do this again. I'm glad we did it. We'll get this out soon, and good luck to everybody. It's gonna be fun to watch. Kelly, as my division mate, I am rooting for you. I'm rooting for you to make the playoffs. I think it's going to be a hard road, but I am rooting for you this week. So we'll see what we can do. And Jake, I'm coming for your ass this week. It's going to be the I don't know, Will Deasley show. We'll see. Probably not, but we'll see. All right, that's all I got. You got anything else you want to cover here?
No, it's okay. I am also gonna give it all this week and take Ken down. I want a little chaos at the top,
Yeah, it'd be fun.
That's what I want.
It would be fun. All right. For Brother John, this is the RTF Show.
Am I out of touch? No, it's you that's out of touch.